Just wanted to own it. Just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here. Oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you.
Welcome to Everything Sparkle. Lauren, I'm so glad to have you on. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me. I've been stalking your Instagram and watching all of your videos, and I'm so excited to be here.
Me too. I've been looking at all your stuff. You're doing a lot of things. You're involved in a lot of little things too.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Tell us about that. Tell us what you got going on.
Yeah, so the major thing is I'm a part of the Miss America organization. I serve as Miss Fresno County. And through the program, I've been able to serve not only my community, but my personal mission as Miss Fresno County, which is to educate the public about organic food waste and to make sure that food isn't ending up in our landfills and it's ending up in the food of with the people that need it most. So that's kind of just it in a nutshell. COVID kind of put a lot of things on hold.
How do we do that? Okay, let's go back. Okay, food waste. Explain.
Yes. So the thing about food waste is when it's in the landfills, it can contaminate our air, our groundwater. So what my mission is to kind of be that umbrella to catch all of that food waste and make sure that it's not ending up in a potentially dangerous situation. And how you could do that is by educating the public about food consciousness. So not letting things go bad in your pantry. If you know you're not going to eat something, we're all guilty of doing it. We'll buy a can of lentils. I always buy lentils. Do I ever eat them? No. They just sit in the back of my pantry. They get old. And so instead of doing that, be food conscious and get those items before they go bad and give them to a shelter. There's a lot of things.
I was so confused at first, and this is probably dumb on my part. I was like, what do you mean by food waste? It's like where we eat food and end up. If like we eat an apple and throw it on the side of the road, it's like that. I didn't know that people are actually wasting food to where it's ending up in the landfills, and that's causing problems.
Yeah, exactly. In situations like that too, I mean, that goes a step even further. How do we handle our waste? That's actual waste. Like if you eat an apple, you have a core left. There is ways that you can compost that in your own home, because a lot of the times, even if you put it in the green waste bin, a lot of local landfills don't have the industrial capacity to compost these huge levels of food.
Is it bad if I throw it on the side of the street? It's not biodegradable?
It is biodegradable. I mean, it's probably not good. Let's say if an animal gets it, but it's way better.
I don't know. Now we're going into it. Hey, you're the one that hoards lentils, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, no, and this is smart because it's we do really need to be more conscious and more giving, of things before they go to waste. And it's better for us because then we're not, hoarding stuff or getting rid of stuff. So what made that become your cause?
So I work in downtown Fresno, and if you've ever visited downtown Fresno, you know that it's the epicenter of our homeless community.
Right.
And a lot of the times I'll just see people walking around the street. It's the same people I see every single day. They're hungry. They need those resources, and they're there. It's just being able to get there and those resources having what they need at all times. And really, if everyone, like a citywide effort, just grabbed something from their pantry that they knew they weren't going to eat, if they all took it to, say, the Pabalera House or the Central Valley Food Bank, those entities would be stocked at all times. There wouldn't be a worry for those people.
Do you feel like we're neglecting our homeless people as a whole? I mean, do you feel like I've worked with a lot of these people. I mean, a lot of these people on my show, and they're saying every Tuesday, there's an organization every Tuesday they get sandwiches. So it seems like a lot of people in the community are doing things. Do you think we're not doing enough?
It's hard to say. I mean, working in downtown Fresno, I see the worst of the worst. I see people in their hospital gowns that just got out and they have nothing to their name. And yes, we do have the resources, but it's not always a matter of if they can get there or if they want to get there. It's a matter of how they're going to get there and how we as a community uplift them and make sure that they know where those resources are. And it's a lot bigger issue. It's hard to generalize and say that we're taking them for granted or we're not giving them the attention they deserve, but there are a lot of hardworking people right here in Fresno County that are working day in and day out to make sure that they have the resources they need.
So we could just do our part to add some more help for that. That's good. No, I like knowing everything that's going on, because I'm not working on a day-to-day basis downtown. So I don't know until you guys come on my show and tell me what's happening. It seems like you're doing a lot for the community.
Yeah, I hope so. And it's easy for everyone, even if you can't, donate food, or you can't donate, make a monetary donation. Even donating your time, it really does make a huge difference.
And how do we go about that?
So there are a lot of different entities. One that I partnered with a few times is the Central Valley Food Bank. And so what they'll do is they'll set up distribution centers in Fresno County. The last one that I went to was by Washington Union High School, so close to downtown Fresno. And just going, you can sign up. There are COVID restrictions. They are completely safe. I felt comfortable being there, wearing a mask, wearing gloves, and just going and being that distribution center. They need volunteers, because these distribution centers are huge, and there's families even from neighboring cities coming to get those resources.
This is very fascinating, because it's like a lot of times people come to me and they're like, we want to help. And I know a lot of people have gone to their churches and they go that way. So we should more go straight to the source then.
Yeah, I mean, any entity that's helping out in that way. I haven't partnered with a church, but I know there are a lot of churches in downtown Fresno that offer those same resources.
So when you became Miss Fresno County, tell us about that experience. Did you have to beat out a lot of people? I have no idea what the pageant world is like.
Yeah, so Miss Fresno County, I've wanted this title since 2017. I really wanted to be Miss Fresno County. And I went into the Miss California program not really knowing anything. I joined when I was 21, but you can start as early as 13. We have a teen program and a Miss program. And so I joined it. I didn't really know anything about it. All I knew is that you got scholarship. And I thought that was super cool. I'm a student, so of course I want that money. And I competed for Miss Fresno County in 2017. And I got first runner-up to Miss Fresno County 2017, Hannah Hauk, who's now in the Miss Illinois program. So it's a big sisterhood. I went on to become Miss Clovis, and then Miss City of Fresno, and now Miss Fresno County. This is my last.
There's a lot of hoops. I didn't even know there was that many steps. And
yeah, well, it's kind of like, it's only a 3-tier system. So local, state, and then national. And so when I was Miss Clovis, I competed at Miss California, didn't win, and then my title expired. So every year you have to compete for a new title to be able to go to Miss California. And the cool thing about Fresno is that Miss California has been held in Fresno. This would have been the 26th year. So it's a very homegrown program, and it's a very cool title to have when all of your, sister title holders get to come here and see where you live.
so what do you mean this would have been the 26th year? Are we not having that because of COVID?
Yeah, well, this last year would have been the 26th year. Sorry, the 2020 competition would have been the 26th year it was here in Fresno. We're hoping that it's going to be here in Fresno for the 2021 competition, but with COVID restrictions, we're not 100% sure what's going to happen yet.
So when would that take place?
They're aiming for the end of June. It's usually at the end of June.
And so then you're going to be competing again for Miss California.
Yes.
How many girls do you have to beat out for that?
I'm not 100% sure how many are in our class this year. I think right now there's 35. So it's always, we have some of the greatest girls come out of this program. California really does have a lot of strong competitors. Our Miss California 2019, Eileen Kim, she actually went on to top 15 at Miss America. So always a great Miss California.
So if you don't win this year, what's the next step?
So I'll just continue to be Miss Fresno County until the end of my year. And then it expires and I have to give it to the next Miss Fresno County, and I'll be 25 at that time. So I'll be completely aged out.
So what can we do as a community? Can we vote for you? I mean, how do we get you to win?
Well, support is nice, but it's completely up to the panel of judges that are judging the competition this year. But it's always nice to have that, encouragement, support from the community. I'm here to support you as well. Any sort of things that I could be a part of, I want to do that for my community. But also just coming out to the competition, if it does happen here in Fresno, that's always nice to have some cheers in the crowd.
Okay, so that kind of looks good for the judges. If we could do one. Okay.
Well, it makes me feel good. It gets me.
No, that's great. So what do you have to do? Is there a talent component? You have to be like in a bikini. What are the different? Take us through the process. I have no idea what goes on. I've seen the Miss America on TV, but I don't know what it is like at this level.
Yeah, so first we start out with our interview with the judges. We have a 10-minute interview where we give them a resume and kind of a statement, like our mission statement, essentially. So everything that I told you about organic waste, got to sell the judges on it. So we get that 10-minute personal interview, and it's really set up like a professional style. That's one of the biggest takeaways from this program, is that you get that professional experience that you're going to experience in the workforce. Then after that, we have the competition. The competition night is very much like a traditional pageant, if you will. So we do have a talent portion. I was a dancer for Fresno State, so I dance for my talent. And then we have our evening gown, which duels as our social impact elevator pitch. So we go on stage in our pretty dresses, and then we tell, the crowd what we're going to do as Miss California. And then we have our on-stage question. And then at that point, that's pretty much it. From that, they pick the top 13, and then the top 13 basically do it all over again. And then they pick our Miss California.
So in past competitions, when you didn't make it, do they tell you what you scored? Do you score low on certain elements? They're like, well, this need to be higher. Do you know what to work on for this year?
I know some local competitions will give their candidates back their scores. I've never received anything, and I don't think at Miss California you receive anything. If you do, I have. So I don't really know, but I know inside what I need to work on, things that I'm not necessarily strong in, or I'm not making an impact with. So those are personal things I have to work on.
You already know. Do you have a coach?
I have a committee. So that's one of the best things about this program, is that you're set up with a committee already. Our co-executive directors, Marie Therick and Jacob Moon, they're basically like my coaches, and they coach all of the candidates in the Miss Fresno County program, helping them gain those professional skills, this onstage etiquette, and prepare them for not only just the Miss Fresno County pageant, but the Miss California competition. So I do have a good team behind me, but a bunch of little coaches.
Are there any perks, like right now, just being at your title at Miss Fresno County? Tell us some of the perks that you've had.
Yeah, so when I won Miss Fresno County, I got a scholarship of $2,500, and that goes straight to Fresno State, and it's taken right off of my tuition. That's
Nice.
the best part. That's how I sell it to everyone I know. You want to get free money for school, this is how you got to do it. But there's also fun sponsorships that we get throughout the year. Touch of Summer Spray Tan, Jennifer Meadows. I'm not spray tanned right now, but she does amazing spray tans. Thurman Orthodontics provides teeth whitening. King Lash by Felix does my lashes. There's a bunch of fun stuff throughout the year. So those are definitely perks.
Do you get to invited to cool events that and educate the community? What are some of the events that you've done?
Well, as Miss Fresno County, I haven't really been able to do anything just because of COVID, but I am working with a couple different entities. I'm working with Muses Day Spa to put together a food drive to benefit the Fresno State Student Cupboard. And I'm working with Caglia Environmental to work on some educational components, helping out the public understanding organic food waste. But the coolest event I probably ever went to was when I was Miss City of Fresno. I went to the CV Lux Awards, and I got to give out all the awards with Margot Kim. We got to give out the awards, and one of our ad page sponsors, Riverstone, they were given an award. So it was very special to have that kind of two worlds collide. And
you got to get all dressed up?
Yeah, exactly. That was the last time I got dressed up.
Do you get some free clothes? Do people give you some, like some of these boutiques here? Do they give you some stuff?
I haven't gotten any free clothes, but Mia Bella does offer us sponsorships. So when I gave up my Miss Clovis title, they gave me this awesome rainbow dress. It had sparkles all over it. It was so fun. But yeah, that was really cool.
Oh, that's awesome. And what about modeling opportunities? Can you take on jobs with other things, or because you are in this competition, you can't really do stuff like that? Tell us about that.
Well, I work a full-time job. I manage business development and marketing for an engineering firm here in Fresno. So that's my job right now. Obviously, if I was given the title of Miss California, that would become my new full-time job. And with that, opportunities always come around. I've been asked to model things. You can't see, but I'm only 5 feet tall, so I'm not that type of model. But it's always fun, and people love to see the crown and sash on their clothing or whatever they're trying to sell. So yeah, opportunities come up all the time.
So that's a great job that you have now, but you're also going to school as well?
Yeah, I'm working on my master's degree at Fresno State.
For?
It's an MBA, so my business degree. Business master's.
What did you get your BA in?
In business administration for marketing.
Oh, wow. So you're just all business, but it seems like you're kind of into science a little bit from what you're saying and what you do.
Yeah, I studied engineering for about 3 years at Fresno State before I realized it wasn't my path. But I ended up back in the engineering field. I don't necessarily do engineering work, but having that foundation really set the bar for me as a professional in that field.
What's some of the things you aim? Because right, I mean, you seem super intelligent to me, and I mean, I think back in the day, like the persona was just like, oh, Miss America. You just like, and you're so intelligent. Is that one of the things you want to really show, that you can be beautiful and smart? What's some of the things you aim to inspire people with?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the message of the program too. The professional interview is such a huge part of the program, and it really does set the foundation for how you'll journey on into your professional career. And this program really is building women as professionals and as intelligent beings. It is not just about the beauty. Yeah, there's the components that we have to fulfill, going out on stage and wearing an evening gown. But it's more than that. And that's what I want people to understand. There's a reason why you're getting scholarship for this program. They want you to be smart. They want you to make a difference in your community.
So do you do the bikini contest when you run for the other titles, or not really? You don't have to do that yet.
So the Miss America competition up until 2018 had swimsuit. So I was in the last competing year. And
you don't have to do that anymore?
No, they don't do it anymore. I know
pressure off.
What was that?
That takes the pressure off of always having to be
Yeah, exactly. Well, part of the reason why they did that is they wanted to place more emphasis on our social impacts. So, what I do with organic food waste, that's what they want to platform even more. I remember the first year I competed at Miss California was the last year that they ever had swimsuit. And what I did realize is that we weren't really speaking a lot. We were on stage doing our talent, and unless you're speaking your talent, nobody hears you. So the whole point of going away from that route was to give us more of an opportunity to speak. And I've never been invited to a pool party, which I would like to, but unless that's the case, then there's really no more reason to have that as a part of the competition.
What about the talent component? Have you done that when you did that as well? It was like evening out, and then so do you do music? Do you dance? What's your talent?
Yeah, I dance. Right now I'm dancing at Hall Dance Company here in Fresno, but I grew up in Chowchilla, so I danced at All About Dance and Gymnastics, where I went on to dance for Fresno State. And those were some of the best years of my life. I really enjoyed not only just dancing on the field, dancing for a great team, but having that community aspect to it as well.
Wow, so you really do it all. I want to see this. I mean, where can we, so we can actually go, well, when there's not COVID, you said that we can go and cheer and support you, and we get to see all this, like your talent, the evening gown, the whole.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. If not, it'll probably be aired live.
We can you can live stream it, like we can watch it on Facebook or something,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm excited about this, girl. You're getting me into this whole new, like.
It's really fun.
Well, we want to follow you. So Instagram, you're really Instagram heavy. So is that where you want us to follow you? Instagram, Twitter, or you're not so much Twitter?
Yeah, just Instagram, Miss Fresno County.
And Facebook as well. You have a Facebook page too, right?
Yes.
Okay, Lauren. Well, we love the way you represent us, so we're going to follow you.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on my show.
Thank you so much. I was so excited.
Welcome to Everything Sparkle. So this is an interesting story. We've never done a story like this in the history of the show. Chris, do you want to lead us in on what we are discussing today?
Well, thank you, Sparkle, for having us all together today. So on behalf of both families today, and thank you for taking the time to take a look at this. We're talking today about my friend and Debony and Mark's brother, Casey Scott McPherson Pomeroy, who was with his wife on the island of Anguilla and was mysteriously murdered. And they're on New Year's Eve 2018 and still looking for answers to this day on it.
So there were 6 people essentially, and 2 out of 6 people passed away. Tell us, Debony, from the beginning, what you can about what happened and when you even found out, because I don't even know at what point you found out that your brother passed away.
Well, we found out on New Year's Day, and we had no idea exactly what happened. All we had was a news clipping from the Anguillan news that they were investigating the deaths of 2 American tourists. And that's all the information that we had originally.
So 3 men that grew up together that were best friends, grew up, got wives, and then decided to take this trip. Can you tell us a little bit about the relationship between the 3 men?
Yes, the 3 of them were really good friends since grade school, and they stayed friends through adulthood, and their wives became friends, and they did life together, even in their adult lives.
So we have Casey, and who were the 2 other men?
The 2 other men were his friend Caleb Hillary and Chuck Gross.
And both Caleb and Casey never made it back.
That is correct. Casey and Caleb passed away in Anguilla.
So they passed away differently after the autopsy came back. Well, we dive a little bit into how they passed away. Basically, they were all on the island. They were drinking at a resort. And then...
Well, what we know is we're still getting details. 2 years later, we're still working on details. And one of the reasons we're working on details is because the inquest by the Royal Anguillan Police and the coroner has yet to be allowed to be completed because they're being blocked. What we do know from the death certificates right now is that Casey died by a drug overdose, with a significant amount of a substance in him, and it was basically comes down to a poison in Casey's case.
It was ecstasy, right? Or MDMA, wasn't it?
MDMA, yes.
Okay.
Yes, roughly 4 times the amount in the case of Casey. Casey was living on the island at that point in time. Now, the interesting part, though, is Caleb is listed as strangulation and ligature to the throat as far as his death.
He had drugs in his system, but he did not pass away from an overdose.
That's correct. He died from strangulation, which by anybody who's ever watched any police show, who's read anything, would sit there and say, how do 2 men in one location die from dramatically different means from each other? And that's where the first real question begins in all this. And we're being blocked right now from getting even that question answered right now.
Debony, who sent you the clip that you found out your brother passed away and that there are 2 Americans that passed away? Like, who even sent you that? Because everybody was in police custody right after they had passed away. So who gave you any information at all?
Well, it's our understanding that my brother's widow had made a phone call to someone here in the US, which then made a chain of phone calls to other friends and family members, and it finally made it to us a couple days later. And so that link had been forwarded through that chain of friends.
Mark, when did you find out about this? You're the brother. And can I get the birth order? I don't think I know the birth order. What's the birth order between you guys?
Well, we're all 6 years apart. Deb is the oldest. I am the youngest. I found out, I believe it was a Tuesday. I was actually out of town at the coast with my girlfriend. I think we were in Lucas, and it was towards the evening. We were standing and I got a call from my sister, and she said, "Are you home?" And I said, "No, at the beach." She said, "I have something really important to tell you, but we need to we need to have everyone together." So I said, "Okay, I'll call you when I get home. That way, our parents can be there to listen in." And at that point, I knew something was really wrong.
Did you assume it was about Casey?
No, but I assumed it was family related. That either someone got really hurt or, not physically, but something was going wrong with one of our family members. So when I got home, I immediately told my parents, "Okay, Deb needs to talk to all of us right now." So I put us on speakerphone.
So you had to drive 4 hours back home, 3 to 4 hours back home.
Yeah, it was
Wondering in your mind what's going on.
Yeah, it was a long drive. I'm thinking, okay, what's going through my head? Okay, what could possibly go wrong? What's going on? My heart was going really fast. Like, okay, I gotta get home as fast as I can. So yeah, as soon as I walked in the door, I got on the phone. Okay, Mom, Dad, Deb says something's gone wrong. Let's call her right now. And that very disturbing phone call. We were told my brother had died the past Sunday. We were all in shock, and my mother immediately started crying. My dad.
What day is this now, though, that you said this past Sunday? Was this in the very next day, or was this 2 days later?
This was roughly 2 days.
Okay.
Yeah, about 2 days. Yeah, that was it was a long night of crying. And you never really recover from that. Every day you think about it and think, why? Of all the people, why him? This is like something out of those movies that you see on TV, all those crime shows that think, oh, I can't believe something like that happens. Well, it happened to us. It's unbelievable.
At that point, why did you guys think that they passed away, these two men? What was your thought process? Devaney, what were you told, and what did you think?
Well, we were told by the police, because we did make a phone call over to the police, and the police said that they had overdosed. That was what they told us. And we thought, what do you mean they overdosed? You know, this isn't something that we knew Casey to do. And he was in medical school, and it's nothing made sense. And the messages that we were getting from her family, from her sisters, from other friends, was that they were poisoned. And so we didn't know what to believe, because we hadn't heard from her. And so we didn't know what was going on. It's really a horrible feeling to not know what happened to your loved one. And I remember that night that I talked to Mark's girlfriend and my dad and my stepmom. I remember my stepmom screaming into the phone. I wasn't there to see what was happening. I could hear, but I remember her screaming and crying. I'll never forget that.
Did you ever know Casey to be a drug user?
No.
Not any type of recreational, he just was drinking and that's it?
He did a lot of drinking, but I knew him to do any kind of recreational drugs.
And you guys have partied with him. You guys have drinking together, right, Mark? But you know what I mean? You know, like that's the socialization, is to drink.
Yeah, if I were to do those type of things with him, I would know probably his limit. And pretty sure he went over it. Yeah, he was definitely a party guy.
So you automatically right away probably went to he was poisoned, because you knew that he wasn't a drug user.
Yeah. He wasn't the type to do that kind of stuff. I never had heard him to dabble in that sort of thing.
Right. Chris, when did you find out that Casey had passed, and what was your relationship with him?
I first met Casey almost 10 years ago. I was his first agent in Los Angeles. We quickly became the closest of friends. We traveled together. We partied together. We went out together. We did Vegas trips together. I can tell you every time it was guys' weekend in Vegas, he would drink. Never to the levels that we've heard, and there was never once a drug involved of any kind from
And you
anybody.
would have known in Vegas. I mean, that's you're going to do it. You're going to do that big.
When we went to Vegas, and that was one of the first questions with Debony, when we finally talked to get into your full answer there is, Debony, when Debony and I finally connected, and I'll work there in a second, she grilled relentlessly about what was he into? What did he do? And we went over and over and over everything, and there was never a use of drugs ever with Casey. Drank, partied. He was a frat boy. There's no doubt about it. He knew how to lead a good time. There's a British song about when the party never ends when somebody shows up, and that's Casey. Casey knew how to lead a good time. I did not find out for almost 6 weeks that he was dead. I'd been calling him. I had called him even 3 or 4 days beforehand, left him a message about some new flights to someplace for us to go off and have some fun. It was Sunday morning. I woke up to an email from Mark telling me that Casey was gone. And his wife, and there was a few things about a wife in there and all this, and I was like, Casey's not married. Nobody in LA knew Casey was married.
So he had a double life, kind of.
Yes, he did. He absolutely did. We had no clue. In 10 years, I had no idea Casey was married. So I got this email on a Sunday morning from this guy who's got at least part of the same last name as one of my closest friends. But he's talking about this wife. And I'm trying to slowly piece things together. Can't figure out much. And on Wednesday, I got the phone call from Debony after that. And Debony and I were on the phone that first time I had met her. And we were on the phone for over 4 hours on that first phone call.
Why did it take so long for you guys to connect to Chris, Mark, and Debony?
Deb had contacted me, reaching out saying if there was any. I looked on IMBD to see if there was any contact information there for his agent. So I looked on there, and I'm part of IMBD as well. So I was able to find his information on there, and I sent that to Deb, saying, "Okay, I found his information," and she had me reach out to him and said. So I emailed Chris and say, "Hey." Well, I was originally emailing him to say, "Hey, this person has died. How do I change the
Status?
The status, yeah. It's born on and then died. How do I change that?" And that's when Chris answered me back saying, "Hey, can you tell me some more information? What's going on with this?" And I kind of realized then, like, he doesn't know all that's going on. So, okay, talk to my sister. She'll fill you in.
How long had Casey been married at this point when all this happened?
They got married in 2012.
So they've been married for a while.
For 6 years.
And Chris had no idea he had a wife.
every time when Casey took his studio apartment not far from where I live, literally about 6 blocks from me, I moved him in. When he moved out, I moved him out. When we went to Vegas together, there was never a moment of, I got to go make a phone call. There was never standing off on the side by himself. There was nothing ever. It was the most interesting thing to me in that was in one of the first phone calls with Devaney, when we were kind of beginning to figure out he had this life in Fresno, which was tied to his Oregon family, but he had this completely separate life in Los Angeles. As we were slowly kind of putting life together, we were realizing neither side knew about the other. It was a complete mystery and secret at every level. He did nothing to indicate he was married. He slept around down here. He partied. He played. He went on dates. He was the guy who always made sure everybody had a good time.
So I've seen pictures and videos of Casey, and I mean, he seems like a very attractive man. What's the speculation of why he ended up marrying this woman that was pretty much almost 2 decades older than him? More than 2 decades. More than 2 decades older than him. I mean, what Mark Devaney, can you kind of, I know a lot of it's speculation, but what did you guys think when he brought her home, when they got married? Did they have a big wedding? What are some of the gaps you could fill for me on this one?
Well, when I first heard about it, I kind of had the same reaction as everybody else, saying, all right, that's a little strange, but I guess if you're into that thing, why not? The wedding was fine. It was just like a normal wedding. Part of someone's house, all fancy and all everything. It always felt awkward. Yeah.
How long had they been dating before they ended up getting married?
They dated for about 7 years before they got married.
So this is a pretty long relationship.
You know what the most interesting part about that, Sparkle, is when in the conversations that Devaney and I had, Casey told me he had been at a wedding, he had been the best man in a wedding, and he told me all the details of the wedding. And it wasn't until Devaney and I started comparing notes that I found out that this wedding he attended as the best man
was his own
wedding. Yeah. I guess he was the best man at the wedding after all, the best of best men at the wedding, so to say. But yeah.
So what was the job that he had when they were getting married before he began acting? What was the job that he had?
I don't know what he did before. I know he was in pharmaceutical sales at one point.
But I thought he made a big change. He made several changes because he went from doing his regular job to doing acting, and then he was going to go to school in Anguilla, correct?
Yeah.
The stories we have in Los Angeles, now whether these two can tell me otherwise, and maybe it's news for me today too, he had been on ski patrols, he had been a paramedic, he had been in pharmaceutical sales, and he was a volunteer firefighter, were the three things I was told prior to Los Angeles, prior to us meeting.
So right now, so you guys knew he was in Anguilla because he was going to school. Why was he at a tourist resort if he was moving to Anguilla?
I can't speak to that one. I don't know. And I think that's going to be more of a Devaney.
Yeah.
We'll wait for Debbie to come back on that one. I'll switch gears a little bit here. So what happened is these two men died, and typically when men die, there's an investigation, a lot of things go. The 4 remaining survivors were in custody and let go after a weekend. Why is that?
You know, the real interesting part to kind of get there and go forward from there. First of all, the widow didn't call the family. The widow called her friends.
So she had an opportunity to make a phone call.
She had an opportunity to make a phone call, and instead of calling her in-laws, the parents, the other family members, she called her friends. That's interesting.
Who else did she call?
The private investigator has told us of a couple of phone calls that it appears she made, one of which was to a U.S. attorney who, while she was from jail, but then one of the very first calls, even before that, is our understanding right now from the sources we've been given, and yet to be verified completely, but it highly suggests that her first phone call was to the life insurance company.
And why was that? What was the life insurance?
There is Casey took out a life insurance policy of about $1 million that he increased later on to 1.5.
If anything happened to them.
In the event of something happening.
So they were paying into life insurance for him.
Yes. And she made that phone call, it appears, from jail about advising them that he was gone. Which is a very interesting part. Maybe it's my own background, but you're in a foreign country, in a foreign jail. And maybe it's the fact of my government and diplomacy background, but the first phone call in my mind would be to the U.S. State Department, to the U.S. Embassy, to the Red Cross, to a local attorney. She called a lawyer in the Northern California area who appears to have flown down with her niece. Is kind of how they started this, and then got a local attorney, but never involved the United States State Department, from what we've been told and can find so far. Never involved U.S. government officials to assist with an American held in a prison overseas. And so that's always been a real question. She obviously had time to make a couple phone calls. She called her friends. She called life insurance. She didn't call Debony. She didn't call Mark. She didn't call
Chris.
Casey's
Why were they
parents.
held in the first place? Under what grounds were these 4 Americans held in jail?
Well, there were 6 people in this house when this death occurred. 2 died, 4 walked out. No one else is in the house. So you've got a suspicious death. You've got questions that law enforcement in any country is going to start by saying, what happened here?
Right.
And what's going on? And law enforcement began from a very positive point of view. We're back to kids' games. We've got 4 suspects. We've got 2 dead bodies. Somebody in that room, of those 4 people, knows exactly what happened. And so law enforcement did what they do best. They started asking questions. Under their rules, we're a foreign country in this. And so when we're getting into that, under their rules, they released them with the understanding and promise from these 4 people. These 4 people committed and promised that they would return for the inquest.
Okay.
To date, 2 years and 2 months later, nearly 2 months, 2 years and 2 months to the day, they have yet to be willing to participate in that inquest.
So these 3 guys have been friends their whole lives. So when he came back, what was your guys' relationship with him, Mark, Debony? Did you say, hey, what happened to, your 2 friends? Why is one of your friends, was strangled? Did you do that? I mean, what did you say to him?
Yes, so I tried to talk to this 3rd friend that came back, and he refuses to talk to me.
At all?
At all.
Not even, I'm sorry, what about your brother?
No, nothing. And in fact, his parents, we live in a small community. And so these parents of this friend know my parents very well. We all grew up in this community, this small community. So all the parents know each other. The parents of this other man to date have not reached out to my parents and have said, I'm sorry for the loss of your son. No letter, no phone call, nothing.
And then what was the wife's connection? You guys did end up seeing her one time when she came back to the United States, correct?
Yes, we have seen her, and she is not speaking to our family, and we're not speaking to her.
But not always. She did talk to you initially. At one point, she talked to you, right?
She did. She did, and she told us to be quiet, that we would never have any answers, and that we just needed to go on and live our lives.
Didn't she also say she was kind of afraid for her life to really talk about anything? Was that ever going on or not really? Or
So originally, yes, they said that they were fearful for their lives to even talk about it.
Like something shady was happening at Aguila.
In Anguilla or here. We don't
But she
know.
was kind of leading to that,
Nobody
right?
will
That's
talk
something.
about it.
She was leading the fact they were afraid in Anguilla when they were in jail, right?
Yes. So that was said from one of her friends, that I had to take down all my social media because things were getting hostile in Anguilla, which we know now is not true.
What did you think when you heard that? What did you think, Mark, when you heard that?
Well, I guess, like I said, on social media, I posted about my dying and how I felt and everything, what's going on, and I find out all my connections through Deb. That's how my family has gotten all this information, through Deb. I haven't had any contact with anyone else except her. So that's a little suspicious. A lot of frustration, a lot of confusion. It's a lot of questions that we should have gotten answers to, and we didn't.
So right now there's no investigation going on here in the U.S.
The issue at hand is the treaties. We're dealing with a foreign nation, of Anguilla, which is a sovereign nation, but is supported by the United Kingdom. It's a structure we're still trying to understand ourselves about which part of which government is in control. The United States government has notified the 4 survivors of the request by the Royal Anguillan Police for their cooperation. The U.S. government has notified, has advised, but they're at a standstill on that part of it. Where it's very interesting is that Debony has above all else led the charge for the family and reaching out and saying to whoever will listen. U.S. congressmen have been contacted, governors have been contacted, U.S. senator, future vice president has been contacted, all of which have said they're going to be involved, said they'll help, said they'll do their role, but have so far not. In the case of now Vice President Harris, Debony had contacted her in writing and said, we need help. She was United States Senator of California, the junior senator, and her help was looked for. This was a woman who used to lead law enforcement in California.
Right.
Somebody who should absolutely care. And her response was, Vice President Harris's response was to ask for a donation to her campaign.
So that's all we've gotten was somebody wanted a donation to give any type of help to this family.
Then Senator, now Vice President Harris her only response to an unsolved murder of two U.S. citizens, two citizens from her own state, was to ask for a donation.
And you used to be in politics, Chris, right? What was your affiliation?
I was a staffer. I was a staffer in Congress. I served I served a governor. I served in a White House before. I'm very familiar with how our congressional staff would respond to this kind of letter. I am beyond shocked after 2 years that a congressman for the 29th district, Nunez, who is the district responsible for where Casey's from, hasn't done anything. I'm shocked that the White House has not done anything. I'm shocked that the vice president's done nothing. The now vice president has done nothing. You know, these people, we elect these people to protect us, to help us. And we have American citizens in a foreign country who were murdered. It is not our place. It is not Casey's family's place, Caleb's family's place to say who did the murder or to solve that. Our place as a family and as friends and as people who are leading in all of this is to say, why aren't you asking questions? Why aren't you, the people responsible for getting us answers, our elected leaders? Why are you not doing that for us?
So what do we need to do at this point as a community? What can I do? Should we
That's
write
a great question.
Who should we be writing to? What should we be doing?
That's a great question, and thank you, Sparkle, for that. That's all politics are local politics, and everything affects our kitchen table. And at the end of the day, the number one thing everyone needs to be doing is reaching out to your local congressperson, your local state people, both in your state assembly, your state senate, your U.S. congressional, your mayors, your governor, as well as our state departments at Washington and our president. These are U.S. citizens. Now, there's only two options in this. Either A, one of these four people did this, okay? Or B, option two, is somebody on the island killed two Americans. And where is justice and where is the power of the most powerful nation on earth protecting the citizens of that country? Where are we? Why are we not having, if we're going to go have an uproar over the smallest of things in today's world, why do we not have people in our local communities calling daily, weekly? Why do we have a U.S. congressional representative who's been in office for more than a decade? He's on at least his fifth term in Congressman Nunez. Why has he not, after that long in office, not gotten an answer from the State Department? His answer is always, we're waiting, we're looking, we're talking. And this isn't political. Congressman Nunez is Republican. Vice President Harris is Democrat. This isn't about a party. This is about a United States
We're getting
system.
neglected from all parties right now, right?
You know, I go back to when Ronald Reagan was shot. He looked up, and Reagan's famous humor was always on display. And as they were wheeling him into surgery, he looked up at the anesthesiologist, and he said, and this is a true story, he said, "I sure hope you're a Republican." While the man had a bullet in him. And the anesthesiologist looked down at him and said, "Mr. President, today we're all Americans."
Right.
And that is exactly what's missing here. Two Americans are murdered. Congressman Nunez, Vice President Harris, who represented the state of California, Senator Feinstein, who's been in office for more than 40 years. Where are you? Governor Newsom, where are you?
Before I let you go, Deputy, Caleb's family, what are they saying about this? Are they working with you guys on this as well to find answers? Are you guys close? What's the deal with that?
Yes, so Caleb's family is working together with us on this. Caleb's parents have asked not to be in the media.
Okay.
They want to find answers as well, but they have asked to be on the sidelines. He has other family that is actively working with us and supporting us, and we're just we're trying to find the truth of what happened. And right now, our biggest hurdle is this inquest.
And Sparkle, when we get to this inquest, and why we keep asking, why isn't this settled? Why isn't this settled? Anguilla wants to solve this. This is a black guy on Anguilla. They want this over with. Anguilla is ready to move forward, and since early October of 2020, Anguilla has told these 4 survivors, these 4 people of inquiry, you don't have to fly back to answer our questions that you promised to answer. Do it on video.
Like us right now.
Just like us right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if Casey's widow is so afraid of this island and she doesn't want to go back because if she herself is a victim, okay, and trauma to her, okay, or because she's a suspect that she doesn't want to go back, it's only one of those two. She's got the solution. Get online, as people all over the country and all over the world are doing right now, and conduct your entire business via video. And yet there is no doubt that they're aware that they can do this. And
if she did do that, she'd receive her money, correct?
There is a lawsuit pending that is working its way through the federal district courts right now for the life insurance. The life insurance company, as we understand it in the public filings at the moment, is operating under the California Slayer statute, is kind of the nomenclature by which the name is known. In the event that a death is ruled suspicious or questioned, then anyone who is in question cannot benefit from the life insurance until they're absolved of those questions. The widow has so far refused to clear herself. Again, she promised to help do that. She's refused to date to do it, and instead she has chosen to sue the life insurance company to remove the Slayer statute from being applying to her.
So right now, the best thing we can do is write our congressman.
We need to write, call, tweet, email, all of it.
For Casey and Caleb.
Yes.
We need true justice for Casey and Caleb, which is why the Facebook group is called Truth and Justice for Casey and Caleb. That's what we need.
So we all need to join that Facebook group too. Everybody listening in, please join that. Please, let's make some noise. I mean, I am really worried about this because this is not even the first time an American has died on an island and there weren't answers. And in one case, I mean, the murderer got to murder again. And we want to bring up the Natalie Holloway story.
It's wonderful you bring up Natalie Holloway and her family, because the private investigator who has worked tirelessly on that and did help bring Vandersloot to justice for a second murder was TJ Ward. And TJ Ward and I are both working 100% pro bono on this at this point in time to finding this. We're doing everything we can. The widow and the 3 other survivors plus the widow believe that it is a hunt against them, and it's not. If they're listening to this, no one is targeting you. No one. All anyone wants to do, and let me be 100% clear, because this is the first time I've ever been able to speak to those 4 people directly or close to directly. The only thing we want to do is find out what happened on that New Year's Eve party. That's all we're asking you to do.
Well, I'm going to be definitely writing the congressman.
Thank you.
Going to be annoying. People know I'm relentless. So,
but Sparkle, let me ask you this question: have you ever traveled overseas?
Yes.
And how? And you felt like I have the power of the United States to protect me behind me. If something happens, I'm an American. I'm safe. We travel with that invisible cloak around us, believing that we have the might and power of the United States of America behind us. Casey and Caleb had that same feeling. You have, I have, any of us have when we travel overseas. And yet, as a country, we are denying them what they grew up knowing to be true.
Well, I really appreciate you guys coming on today. I'm so sorry for the circumstances, and I really want some answers. I know talking about it over and over again has got to be like ripping an old wound again and again, but if we could get some answers, and if as a community we can come together and everyone just writes a letter, calls, I really hope there's some progress on this story, guys.
If anybody wants to join the group on Truth and Justice for Casey and Caleb, I will personally respond to every email. I will personally respond to each one. If
Thank
people
you.
know Casey, if they know Caleb, and they join, we want to talk to you. We want to know. What we've learned is Casey and Caleb, Casey especially, had secrets. And some of those secrets are helping us get to these solutions right now. And we know that there's more secrets out there. And if anyone is out there that knew them, reach out, talk to us. We'll be glad to talk in Deputy and I's case, for 4 hours. And we will talk to you at length to see if you know something that helps us figure out another secret we don't know, because all we want is truth and justice for Casey and Caleb.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Felt right in the moment, felt right in the summertime. It felt right drinking cherry wine with you. Just wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here, oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you. Now I must confess here, oh, I must confess, dear, don't think I'm in love with you. Winter is coming and I don't know what to do. And there's no more use in running, no more running to you. And I don't want your loving, I don't want to be just friends, knowing all this time we were playing pretend. Playing pretend, playing pretend.
It's a mystery.